Hey everybody, welcome to the Balcony Time podcast. This is Andy, and I like eating the internet.
This is Russ, and I have approximate knowledge of many things.
This is Andrew, slayer of Voidcrabs.
And this is Nick, probably coming to you from the future. I saw a video a couple months ago of it was a grand tour, right? They had a drive-through door shop.
Yes.
Yes,
or whatever.
It's Grand Tour.
Pick out your doors on the go.
Yeah.
Because talk about an inconvenience, man. Daily, on
Right.
the reg. Just, where am I going to get my doors?
Well,
I
I
waste
also
a lot of time every day picking out doors when I have to walk and use, my feet.
that was in China.
And when I'm in a
wasn't it?
hurry, forget about it.
I believe it is in China, yeah.
They don't have trucks in China. They're not. They're not America.
It's against their religion.
Well, I mean, but really, I mean, you don't see pickups. Where the fuck do
they
they
have
bring
a
those
religion.
doors?
Think about those little generic Asian box trucks. They have them in
Sure.
everything ever.
But are they hiring a service to go through the drive-through door service to pick up their door?
No,
for
they're
them?
forcing them to do it for free. Otherwise, their social score
Oh,
goes
I
down.
mean, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Probably more likely they have enough 1%ers over there that they could just have their business that is utilized only by the wealthy.
Mhm.
For doors, though.
Fucking everything.
They've got drive-through doors, harmonica tuning, and gerbil training. It's top three markets
All of those
right now.
things sound like fronts.
Well, they are.
None of
Fronts
I
are
those
mean,
sound
fun
like
and good
legit
times.
Businesses.
I mean, they help. It's for the people.
Everything's for the people.
It's for the people. Yeah.
I would start humming the Chinese national anthem, but I don't know it.
I started to get more and more depressed making light
Oh,
fun of other countries,
Chinese
considering our current state of affairs.
Sure.
I'm
Yeah.
like, haha, France, wars, Napoleon. And I'm like, wait. Doesn't really fly.
We could learn a lesson from the French. Those fools get mad about
Don't get
anything.
typhus when you attack Russia.
Yes.
That's true.
They get mad
Accurate.
about everything.
That's true.
They're just like, you fucking pissed on our rights. We're going to just sit out in the streets until you change it back.
That's
Yeah.
true. There are also not 50 tiny countries.
That's true.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that applies at all in this particular situation. But I feel like that's a problem we have in general.
You think
Causes a lot
we'd
of
have more
issues.
power? There's more of us, right?
Yeah, it's just a linear.
More
line.
of us, but I think we have more square footage per person. Like that's ground you got. Like, dude.
But they have more cubic footage per person due to the laws of reality over
Okay,
there.
Sure. But I mean, we can't walk on DC right now. Like, it's not a thing that it's not like within a reasonable time frame that we could
Yeah.
react to something.
We could be there in a week and a half.
Sure, we could be. I mean,
that's a reasonable time frame.
and
Let
if
me
we
go
booked,
fix the wooden boat. I'll get the sails.
and if we
rigged
booked in a
No,
really
we can
expensive flight
walk that shit.
in a week and a half.
in a week and a half.
on your Chevrolet? I don't think so.
No,
Man, it used to take
We'd have to bus it and
fucking
shit.
months to walk.
I know
across our
we'd
country.
have to bus it and shit, but we'd get there in a week and a half.
I want to see
Sure.
what Johnny Appleseed say about that.
But that's also not.
Let me tell you.
that isn't reactionary. Like I was just saying, it's not
Yeah.
like we could be there tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean the main
No.
point is the speed. Which I mean, if
No.
somebody was like, "Hey, we're gonna have a rally against this bullshit in the Capitol," and the Capitol's 2-hour, 3-hour drive away, boom,
Sure.
the people come out for that.
If I remember right, France is slightly larger than I always think because of the damn Mercator projection. It's
Yeah.
not like Oregon sized. Pretty sure it's bigger than that.
I'm sure it is.
France square footage.
Probably not too much bigger. Maybe half of Washington and Oregon.
It's let's see here, about 7. I don't know why I didn't square feet. 7 trillion square feet.
You
That's
could
a
just
good
you could just
measurement.
Google state and country comparisons, and Google will just show you.
That's a good idea. France is about 7 trillion. Oregon is 2 3/4.
Ooh, wow.
So it's just a little
Three
bit
and a half
under,
times.
a little less than 3.
Okay.
7 and 2.
7
and a
and
half.
2.75. So that's, what was that? 4, 5.5.
It's about 3 times.
It's about 3.5 times.
5.5 and 2.75.
You said 7 trillion.
That's like, it's in 2019.
7
Calculator.
flat.
Calculator.
2.5
7.
times 2.5 times 3 is 7.5.
5.
So
It's
that's under-
2.54. Silence.
Did you just break?
No, I was just less than 3 even.
Yeah.
So yeah, how long does it take to drive across Oregon? 5-6 hours? Any
Yeah,
given
somewhere around there.
direction?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They just, I mean, so much more goes into it. Culturalness.
Yeah, for sure.
It was actually one of the really nice things on the 4th of July. I went out to Sharon's aunt's house in Trail, and her uncle is German. And so I got to sit there and talk with him for a bit, just to randomly kind of got on the topic of politics. And it was refreshing to be able to get like on the ground. Like he goes there, he lives here in Trail, but he goes there twice a year and spends like 3 months there each time. So like he's almost half the year is spent in Germany still. And so getting him, his perspective and stuff on one, how our country looks, because he both lives here and goes back abroad. And then just how Germany itself runs. Like he didn't have only positive things to say about Germany, but he's definitely like, they're doing a lot of things way better than we are, you know? And it just is a constant reminder of how much we run into the, what would you even call it? The surface level of global politics, because we're in this dome of the United States and our
Talking about on a personal level.
Personal, just media. I mean, it's really just a general take on how we absorb most of our media in this country, and it's various biases.
Well, it's very self-centered.
Biases.
Biocipedes.
Got it.
Yes, biocipedes. So it's various biocipedes. It's the crab of multiple opinions clashing with each other.
The crab of opinion.
The crab of conflict. Conflict crab.
Are you in the left claw or right claw party?
Dude, I'm all about that meat.
America is firmly in the pinchers of the conflict crab. We're struggling to discern fact from fiction.
Don't listen to those crooked crustaceans.
Yeah. Well, it just goes into the whole concept that Trump's full of void crabs. So clearly he's been trained by the conflict crab.
Oh, my. I wonder what the best acronym for crab is. There's got to be something out there that's just right on the mark.
Constantly raping and butt stuff.
Yeah, with a little 0 to 100 there, but yeah.
Yeah, it had to be a little violent.
You really kind of buried the lead with raping. I did minor butt stuff in the end.
Yeah, well, I mean, the butt stuff is less important. It's just, yeah.
Constantly raping and butt stuff.
I just like
We're giving crabs a bad name here.
I just like that I could tell when you said that the butt stuff wasn't there until the end of and.
The very last.
It wasn't until the end of and.
Yeah.
It's fitting that the butt stuff comes at the end. Oh my goodness.
That hurt.
Even more scary. The present's full of void crabs. But it makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Oh, man, all that butt stuff.
Now, if void
butt
crabs
stuff.
were a Meatspace thing, how big do you think they would be? I'm wondering how many void crabs could fit in Trump.
Oh, well, I mean, enough that his flesh is
An
still
infinite
relatively loose, so it's not
Yeah,
one
he's a
large
bit of
void
a
crab, right?
he's a bit of a
An
leather
infinite
bag.
amount.
Yeah.
Could fit into anything.
Well,
right?
I feel like
Void
it's
crabs.
more like along the lines of quantum physics, to where you try to measure the size or the amount of void crabs you have, and it changes based on observation.
So
Yeah.
what you're saying is we collapsed Trump's waveform and got the wrong result.
Yeah.
It's a constant change of state. The void crab is sometimes gaseous, and sometimes it's the fourth heat.
Turns out that Donald Trump is Half-Life 3.
Yes,
Oh, that's why they haven't announced it. They
Yeah.
want to keep it under wraps.
we've had it all along.
and keep it under crabs.
Yeah, we had it. We didn't want it. Yeah.
There isn't a Trump video game, is there?
Oh, yeah. There
Could you imagine
absolutely
a
is.
day in the life of Trump
That's
like
money.
a VR game?
During the election, there was like
Make
an
it like a
election void
leader.
game where you could play as Trump, and I'm pretty sure he was the main character of the game.
Dude, remake Leisure Suit Larry.
Oh, but with Trump.
What with Donald Trump as the main character instead of Leisure Suit Larry.
He is Larry.
And you don't call it fucking Trump or nothing. You just make it look orange fucking dude with the swoopy hair, always wearing a suit.
Yeah.
So now, I would
Call
love
him
to see
Frump.
all those VR chat rooms and stuff. Why isn't nobody that can do like a good Trump impression just rolled into there with a Trump avatar and just made
sure
some
that's
videos
out
of
there.
that? Because that sounds to me like,
I imagine.
No, that's
Gold.
YouTube Gold.
It's
yeah.
probably there.
Well, it's not YouTube Gold yet.
to be
Can you
fair, I
pull it
haven't
up?
watched too many of those videos.
I've
but-
watched a little VR chat. Also, I think there are just a lot of people that can do Donald Trump pretty easy.
Sure.
You just got to purse your lips and squint. And
Yeah.
But anyways, on the topic of games, Would you actually? No, I'm still on the Trump thing. Would you only be able to interact with women by grabbing them by the pussy? It's like you just go up to them and just chuck them out.
I imagine you would have like, you remember the mini game in Tony Hawk where you have to keep the what is it called? The 2-wheel thing.
manual.
The
Your grind?
manual. It's like
Oh,
a
yeah,
left
yeah,
and right
yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
And like when you praise Trump, like he might get too full of himself, but if he gets too upset, then they're
Violence.
Suddenly,
occurs.
it's a Trump dating sim because that's what it sounds like.
no, just like his personality. You have to like keep him in the middle because he's so unhinged that he either goes like off the wall one way or the other.
Sure,
I don't know.
you got to replenish his health by eating McDonald's.
I guess what I'm
food.
getting at, if I were to play a Trump video game, I would want to try to rein him in and let the game be Trump for me, as opposed to just personifying Trump, because that would get old quick.
So you know the SpongeBob SquarePants game? I think that's all it is, except for instead of collecting Krabby Patties, it's Big
PlayStation,
Macs.
Nintendo.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, you go jelly fishing, but instead of Krabby Patties, it's Big Macs, right? That's the only difference.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's what did he call them? Hamburgers.
Oh, I don't remember.
Yeah,
Yeah,
him and his tweets.
yeah.
I just read the other day that he says that he like never drinks alcohol.
That is very true.
I've heard
and
that,
can
yeah.
be confirmed.
That he never drinks it.
He's a fucking straight edge, dude.
I feel like it's been confirmed that he
I
has
haven't
absolutely
seen an X
consumed
on his
alcohol.
hand.
Dude, that dude's a straight edge.
No,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like
By
I said,
all accounts, that dude's a straight edge.
I could have sworn the article I was reading specifically had people saying they've witnessed him consume alcohol.
Maybe at times, but by most accounts, that dude's sober. Dry
I
and
don't
sober.
want to imagine Trump drunk.
That's probably
just
why
a
he doesn't
lunatic.
drink.
That's why. Then that's I guess that makes sense because then the Voidcrabs would get out.
Right. I mean, you can't. Alcohol is like their kryptonite, man.
Speaking of
They'd
Donald
leave the
Trump,
host.
tangentially, did you guys see Jeffrey Epstein got arrested?
Oh yeah. Well, no, he didn't get like. I guess he
What's
got
his name?
rearrested. He's
California
arrested?
guy.
No, New
what's
York
the
guy.
sex offender New York
Sec-
guy.
minor sex trafficking
I
guy.
stopped following. Oh yeah, I think I saw that
And
headline.
like chummy buddy of Trump.
I gave
As well
up on
as
following
close with
politics a while ago.
Clinton and
Yeah.
probably most of those.
I mean, I have a feeling that once you're in that governmental space, you're just in everybody's shit, right?
They certainly lead interesting lives, and I do not wish it upon myself. The amount of self-checking and
You know,
constant introspection on how you behave in public they would have to adhere to.
I think people naturally get weird when they make that much money and a little bit, on the side.
Just a little bit.
But they only work like 3 days a week. I think that much free time, that much money equals just bad things happen.
God, I want bad things to happen to me.
Right? I mean,
Idle hands.
yeah.
Gonna do bad
We
things to
need
you.
strippers and water slides.
So
The
bad.
really disgusting thing is the quote that somebody, Donald Trump himself, talking about Epstein at some point in the history. And it's talking about how great a guy he is and how he's loves beautiful women just like Trump does, but they tend to be on the younger side.
Oh yeah, I've heard
Like
that.
he's quoted saying that from the past, and like now in the light of current day events, you're like, oh dear God,
That didn't
Oh.
play well.
that is.
No, even if that was a purely innocent comment, that's bad optics.
This may be a bit of a correlation, but I remember reading up on the fact that being a person in power, those positions are conducive to attracting people with little to no empathy or, I don't know the correct term.
Sociopaths.
Sociopaths.
That's the word.
Whichever one. I wonder if there's also a correlation, whether it's important or not, for molesters and whatnot.
Well, it's power, it's control.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
usually the big thing I think with them is that dominance. And what better way to do that is be rich and in politics.
Everything is about sex, except sex, which is about power.
Power is about void crabs.
I mean, it's I gotta catch them all. Just that's the goal. It's the
I
goal.
wanna be the very best.
Oh man,
Dude,
I'm just picturing a Pokemon game where there's only one type of Pokemon. It's the void crab, and you just play your normal day-to-day life, and you can't not catch them. It's just like a disease. Bag fills up with void crabs.
what?
some fucking fifth world there.
Speaking of surreal stuff, you go ahead and finish, and then I'm going to bring up something.
what changed in Pokemon to like? Is it just? Have you played any of the more recent Pokemon games?
Only Pokemon Go.
How recent?
Okay.
I thought the Pokemon
I played
Pikachu edition and stuff was like legit.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm just talking about like pure Pokemon games, like Ultra Sun and Moon. I think are the most recent ones.
No, the newest one's the Pokemon like
the
Pikachu.
Detective
Pikachu.
Pikachu.
No. The Switch version they put out. Like,
Yeah, but I
and
don't.
that's straight up Pokemon. It's just
Is
three.
it?
It's in.
I think Andy's talking vanilla timeline Pokemon games.
Yeah.
So
I really feel like the game that came out on the Switch is just a straight up
Is it?
Pokemon game.
It
Yeah,
might be.
it's not like Pokemon Snap or anything like that.
Well, I'm not saying Pokemon Snap, but there was Pokemon Yellow, which
let's go
came out.
Pikachu, right? Let's go.
Let's go Pikachu.
Is that what it's called?
Maybe I don't
Is it?
know.
Isn't that another kind of VR type thing?
It's not VR. No,
No,
it's
I
just
think
in.
I
It's
need
weird
another
because it's
beer
not
to
a
talk about
top-down-
Pokemon.
It's not a top-down
fair.
video game.
Anybody else?
It's
need one?
a first-person
Sure.
Pokemon game.
Okay.
But you still play it like you do all the old Pokemon.
So it's still. I mean,
you run
the
around
rules
through
apply,
tall
gotta catch 'em
grass
all.
and you got to catch them all. You go to the gyms.
Okay.
It's 100% old school Pokemon play. I think what gets confusing too is that there's the TCG, the collectible card game.
Yeah.
So I think they have a lot of those like Pokemon Sun and Moons and stuff like that in the headlines can get kind of confusing on whether or not there's an actual new Pokemon game out or
Yeah.
if it's just an expansion or.
It's kind of just standard Nintendo protocol to branch out with as many side games as you
Oh
can.
yeah, Mario Tennis and Luigi's Mansion and WarioWare and that all spawned from Mario Brothers, right? Super
Yeah.
Mario Brothers.
But to answer your question, Black and White, I think for the DS was the last one I played.
Okay. Dude, those games, they don't feel like playing the newer ones. I got a little bit of exposure because I got the kids, Ultra Moon and Ultra Sun, right?
Okay.
They don't feel like Pokemon games to me. I don't. When did I guess Pokemon is an anime, but when did they go full on anime style?
So in general, red, green, and blue, yellow, gold, silver, sapphire, emerald, all those up
Yeah.
until the GBA had the same basic format. They started introducing like beauty contests and other things, the ability to go to different regions.
Yeah.
And then I think it was somewhere around the DS split where the side mechanics got added to the point where the normal Pokemon A to Z, like,
Mhm.
I'm not going to say fell by the wayside. It just got shadowed.
What is
Right.
what is the extra content that you're doing besides just battling Pokemon?
They have like they introduced back, I think, in Sapphire and Ruby, the ability to have beauty pageants. So your Pokemon essentially have like moves, but for like a weird photo shoot walk, and it's essentially like a battle. And it was really basic, I think, in the first game, but then it got really big. And then they had the ability to make different Pokemon candies that would modify your stats, and that became a whole thing. And then
Well, then they have, like,
trees,
Multiple different kind of evolutions that you can
Talk
force
about the
them through.
mega
Yeah.
evolutions. Yeah, that's kind of a one-time battle thing. I think a consumable resource where you can do that. At the end of the day, I think what Nintendo gets right is that their games stay true to a given age range. It's never going to be the Pokemon
Maybe
we
that's
had.
it. Maybe I just aged out of Pokemon. There are plenty of people that I work with and
I was never young
peers.
enough for Pokemon.
Dynamaxing
Yep,
Dynamax.
sure.
What is that?
enables Pokemon to temporarily grow to a
I
giant
don't care
size.
anymore.
It turns them into Super Saiyan 5.
Like, Penny Arcade
Ultra
said
Instinct.
there's only 3 people who play Pokemon. There's the child who likes Pikachu.
Yeah.
There's the 27-year-old white guy who knows how many IVs his Pokemon has.
Yeah.
And then there's the molesters that show up at the conventions. Right?
Basically, yes.
Yeah.
I think that's right. I think that's
It could
probably
be.
right.
The list, as far as it goes,
I just
was,
learned I don't want to play Pokemon.
Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun and Moon, Let's Go Pikachu, and Let's Go Eevee. And then the newest one that's coming out this year or may have already is Sword and Shield.
Which has got some huge controversy because they are not putting in all of the old Pokemon.
Right.
People are flipping their Pokeballs.
Well, and I guess you won't be able to import your old Pokemon.
I mean,
Wow.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure they said they were going to allow you to import your old Pokemon, and then they kind of backtracked on that.
That happens.
Yeah, it does. I mean, the whole Shenmue thing. That's
At the end of the day, I don't know if it's a hardware limitation or software, but there's a lot of goddamn Pokemon, and that's a lot of stuff to keep track
It's
of.
more than 800.
yeah.
That's
I thought there was over 1,000. I could be wrong.
Well, it's more than 800. That's all that we
There are
says.
7
It's
more
so
than
it could be
Pokemon.
more than 1,000.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting.
You guys want to go see Bride of Chucky with me?
No.
God, you suck.
Bride of Chucky? Are you
Wasn't
just talking
it?
about the? Are you just talking about the Chucky movie?
Yeah, the Chucky movie.
Dude,
you guys want to go see Child's Play with me?
No, I don't.
If they
'cause
come
that-
out-
Oh, don't
So-
say that with such a jovial guise
So-
and then say no.
oh, no, I have
Nick?
this. Okay.
I will go see The Bread of Chucky if it's a cooking show.
No, it's just Child's Play. It's Child's Play. It's got Aubrey Plaza.
I thought you didn't like
It's really
Pokemon.
scary. If you
I don't
have
care about
Crohn's Child's
Pokemon.
Play.
I care about Chucky. Let's go watch it.
That movie looks like a dumpster fire, and I have no
It
interest.
does, yeah.
You guys don't like watching fires?
Well, if they smell bad,
All right,
It's
dude.
even
So
better.
I'm gonna load this
'Cause you
video up,
can't
but
smell.
I'm gonna preface this a little bit here, in that I'm going to sleep, right? Like this, I'm just browsing through YouTube. I'm doing my routine before I go to bed. I'm like,
Oh, I know what this is about.
yeah, I'm nearly asleep, right? Like I'm ready for sleep to happen. And I'm like, oh, there's a new Child's Play movie. That's weird. All right, I'll check out this trailer, right? So I turn this trailer on, and I'm watching it and stuff, and
Drifting off to sleep.
drifting off to sleep, and then
Good night, Andy.
Oh,
what the fuck, dude? What the actual fuck, man?
Now we have to go see it.
So yeah, I was like, well, I need a palate cleanser, so
What'd you watch then as a palate cleanser?
I don't remember.
You
Good
just
morning,
watched that
Andy.
again. Let's watch it again as a palate cleanser. That was fun.
Do you know the origin of this Chucky?
It's a scary doll.
The new one.
Like, do you know the original Chucky? Do you remember how he comes about?
He's a fucking like dude who was on death row who gets put into a doll, right?
He's a serial killer.
Yeah, he gets put
And
into the doll.
before he gets caught by the police,
Yeah.
he casts some sort of voodoo curse.
Yeah.
And puts his soul into the Chucky doll.
Okay, so yeah, I vaguely remember that.
Sure. So you don't want to know what this one is?
Huh.
A disgruntled Chinese manufacturer gets yelled at by his boss, so he hits a button and turns off the safety measures for the doll.
What do you mean turns off the safety measures?
There's
the
safety measures in
anti-ghost
place.
lever,
Yeah.
it's on and off.
He's not possessed. It's not. He's just a malfunctioning Chinese manufactured murder doll.
So hold on. You're telling me like the doll is on the line and some dude who's working at this toy factory goes, I'm gonna switch the safety switch on this doll, like this one doll. They all have safety switches, but I'm just gonna switch it on this one doll.
You are correct.
And nobody well that is dumb.
Quality
Yes.
control is having a rough day.
Can we does it show us that in the trailer?
So
You can watch the Your Movie Sucked review of it.
How
could there
long
be
is
an
that?
underlying theme to this movie, like
Possession is
specifically to
scary.
scare capitalists?
Yeah, no, it's
like
so it's
safety
it's,
and OSHA. You turn it off. This is what happens.
It's not even that. It's be
I'm-
afraid of your phone. Be afraid of technology because
Russ,
these are
just
GPS
crushed
controlled dolls
Good.
that know where you are and they're app control.
Your
Right.
time is better
So
spent doing other
their
things.
whole shtick is that they're like,
I
app
guess I'll just
control.
watch the first one again.
yeah.
That's a better idea.
Question: How important is a villain's backstory to you in horror movies?
I can't even hear anything anybody is saying to me after hearing that it's just a dude who flipped a switch in that movie and it's not like
It's a really scary
possession.
switch.
It's not. It's just a
It's
generic.
got a little skull
It's like
on
a
it.
little
can't even
computer
think.
program. You're just like boop beep boop. That doll's evil now.
Backstory is important depending on the content.
I can't believe that got made.
Depends on the villain. I think that backstory can add depth and make a character more scary, but there's also an aspect of where the vague and unknown villains are also scary. You think something like a aberrant Cthulhu type creature, an unknowable void creature or something is pretty fucking terrifying.
I guess it depends on what the story's about.
I think of the original The Thing. The backstory of the creature is that it's an alien.
Yeah.
That's all you know.
Yeah.
but it's not important.
It's
to
not.
the film.
It
'cause
could
the
it could be a
real-
monster. It could
Real
have been-
monsters paranoia,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So I guess when it comes to schlocky horror movies, I can't really tell. I'm not a big horror buff, so
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm just saying. Like, so in the original Chucky, it's literally just established in the first 10 minutes of the movie that the doll is possessed by a serial killer. Done. That's all we need to know. It's established what has caused this doll to come about. Why would they not just do that again if they're going to remake the movie? Like, it seems like a poor story decision to say, like, well, this time, instead of establishing why this doll is so scary, is that there's a serial killer soul in it.
You know what the
It's
worst
just
part
a
about that is?
malfunctioning toy.
The worst part about that is there was like a meeting where somebody was like, "Hey."
no, they just busted out the roulette wheel.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they don't actually sit down and talk about this stuff.
You have to.
No, they have a
Side
roulette
note.
wheel.
That's the thing
of
is somebody got
movies.
paid to have the discussion to change it to flipping a switch.
Nope. The roulette wheel contains all the IPs that they currently own, and depending how close the deadline is for them to lose that IP, it has a bigger wedge on the roulette wheel, and they just give it a spin. And then they hire some 22-year-old ghost writer to turn it into, to make it modern.
Everybody needs to stop going to see movies.
Let it be known that, in my opinion, Ninkasi's Slayer Winter
It's
Ale
good.
tastes like the color brown.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not a resound. I don't think that's a good
That,
endorsement.
I mean, if you want some brown, dude.
No endorsement, just fact.
Okay.
Like I can even give you the shade. It's between taupe and silty loam.
Chartreuse.
I don't like IPAs as it is.
This
I don't
isn't
Yeah.
an IPA. It's just a winter ale.
Oh, I didn't even know Ninkasi didn't make an IPA. I thought everything they
That's
made was
fair.
an IPA.
Yeah.
So Aubrey Plaza is the main character
She's
of
like the
Child's
mom,
Play.
right?
Chucky is the
Does
main
she
character.
just like
The kid's the
rudely
main-
Mark
sass
Hamill
the doll
actually
to
is
death? Is that how they
second.
win?
Say
Is
what?
he the voice?
Of
He
course
is the
he
voice.
is.
That's pretty great.
It's
Except for,
as
did you
good as I
watch
can
the
get.
trailer? Have you seen anything?
I saw Goodnight Andy.
Yeah, his Mark Hamill's voice. As much as I love his voice, it does not match this fucking doll.
What is that headline?
Do you think it could be more the fact that you're so familiar with his voice?
the new Child's Play. Fun fact, it didn't. They just filled this spot with that article.
They mean
Yeah.
Entertainment Tonight, not the extraterrestrial.
Yeah, that would make sense.
What is with the sudden like resurge of creepy dolls? Because there's Annabelle as well that came out in the same week. I'm pretty sure.
Spread it out wider. Everything from the 80s is resurging.
That's
80s
true.
and 90s.
Well, dude. So you know what that means, right? We're gonna go into dinosaurs. We're gonna get on the next Jurassic Park.
we already did.
A
We're
good
on
one.
Jurassic Park
Well, that's-
47.
All right, that's kind of true.
I thought you meant the sitcom Dinosaurs.
Well then,
That would be
'cause
awesome.
That would be awesome.
We got
Not the mama.
Transformers. We got Jurassic Park. What's the next cool thing?
Not
Then, dude,
the
the next
mama.
thing is gonna be
Not
the
Matrix.
mama.
No, we've
No,
got to go
if
through.
if they touch the Matrix,
Oh,
I
'cause
will.
Jurassic Park was
Oh.
They are. That's
I'm
already
not-
happening.
You're also
Dude, don't
It's
tell me
already
this.
happening.
Don't tell me this because I'm gonna have to say things that are really bad.
So I just read.
That will incriminate me.
I just read the other day that the Wachowski
Shut up.
siblings
Yeah.
Shut up.
are back on board.
Shut. Don't even.
They're rebooting Matrix.
You're killing me. They didn't even get the
They're
second and the
doing
third
Bill
one
and
right.
Ted's Excellent Adventure #2.
Sure.
So
Wait, what?
They're doing another Excellent Adventure.
Fine, I don't give a fuck if they touch the fucking
This
Matrix.
one is called Billiam and Tedford's
Stop.
Illustrious
Stop.
Quest.
Stop. You gotta be fucking kidding me.
So yes, there's gonna be another Matrix movie.
Yeah.
Gotta be kidding me. Like oh god, fuck.
Are you guys?
not a
I can't
remake.
tell if you're.
It's
joking.
another movie
No.
that takes place
Oh,
in
really?
that world.
What?
That's fair.
So
No, it's
don't-
not fair. Shut up.
It is. So don't look at it like
Oh my god.
a fourth movie or a remake of the originals. They're just going to make another
Just leave
movie
it alone.
in the universe.
Why can't people just fucking not touch the painting after they paint it?
Why? But it wasn't a. I mean, they made
The Matrix was a great movie.
Yes,
first
but
one.
there
That's all
are
I'm talking
two
about.
fucking sequels.
Yeah, they didn't make sequels. It's unfortunate there was
They're-
never.
And
actually
neither of
a
them
That
was
did not
very
happen.
good.
That did not happen in a universe out there.
No.
Well,
But if they're going to come back, maybe they could actually redeem
Yeah.
themselves.
That never happens.
expand upon the universe.
Blade Runner.
It's fine. Yeah.
Well, Blade Runner never.
That
fucked
movie
anything up.
never needed redemption.
Yeah.
It's true.
That's-
It's
From
true.
what I understand.
Yeah.
Are you pointing at
That's
the big things?
Yeah, that's you.
Andy
That-
blew himself.
Dude, I'm angry.
Yeah.
The color.
I'm angry at the Wachowski.
You got to get used to the aspect of when you get angry, you have to move the mic away from your mouth.
When I'm angry, I have to find out the address of people.
1, 2, 3.
That's all I'm
Person
gonna say.
Lane.
Sesame
Have I mentioned I've been watching The Sopranos?
Oh, dude. Yeah. Okay.
I want to handle everything with violence.
Dude, I've
get you
been
some
watching
horse
30
heads.
Rock. That's what you need to do is watch more 30 Rock.
No, I need to find out the.
No, what you really need to do is watch more Stargate SG-1, which is what I have started watching.
Really?
Yes.
I mean, that's the thing.
I had a roommate who really liked Stargate.
Stargate's pretty cool. It's a good sci-fi show.
I love Stargate conceptually. I can't fucking stand that show.
Stuff from
We
the
watched
90s,
Atlantis.
especially TV shows like that. It's like if you walked into a kitchen and it just smelled like Pop-Tarts no matter what you were cooking. Like, yeah, this tri-tip is great, but it kind of smells like Pop-Tarts. Like,
Yeah.
I can't get over rewatching old stuff from the 90s. I'm like, this just reeks of grunge and flannel.
I like Xena
And-
Warrior Princess.
See,
Snap
yes,
bracelets.
see, I was about to say.
Is that what you're?
I was
like
about
the
to say
type of shit you're
Stargate is
That's just 'cause
Xena. It is
Formed
Hercules,
the
right?
bedrock of your sexuality because everyone loves Xena.
Oh yeah, I like the blonde chick in Xena.
Yeah,
Yeah, she doesn't like you though.
complimentary.
Oh, she would like me. She just
You're
needs to
well
meet
on
me.
your way of establishing yourself as the podcast creeper. I just want you to warn you right now. Just like, oh man, you need to get laid. I think that's
Yes.
like the situation here.
Oh.
To relieve some built up.
You just got to
there.
listen to some more of that audio porn and
There we go.
you know, get the poison
Your
out.
Reddit gone wild audios.
It's
Yeah.
good. It's good shit.
Yeah.
So I've never seen all of Stargate SG-1 because there's like,
9,000 episodes. Hands.
oh, I want to touch
No
the microphone. Don't.
It's fun too.
Grab the
Not
air.
touchy.
Grab the air sprayer and diddle the canister. Don't pull the trigger. Don't shake your head at me.
Man.
You know what I meant.
It's one of my favorite stories to tell is how you guys almost like all killed yourselves.
That's
Like,
Oh,
immediately what
yes.
comes to mind. Yeah.
it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Don't play with compressed air,
Yeah,
children.
don't light compressed air cans on fire indoors for extended periods of time.
Yeah.
Also, you find out that the bitterant, which is I believe what they call that they put in there,
Yeah.
is the devil. It is absolutely the devil. You get some of that in your mouth, it is the worst. It'll be
The
there
worst.
for a day and a half. Just burns itself into your soul.
Yeah, that's why you can't lick Nintendo Switch cartridges.
I heard about that.
Yeah.
We sprayed that
Explain.
on Josh
They put a
once.
bitterant into the plastic of the Switch cartridges so kids wouldn't eat them.
Yep.
That's smart.
It's pretty. I wouldn't have thought of that.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant.
They look like little gray chips. You just pop it in.
Yeah.
Chew on some
When-
video games.
When your tech is geared towards children, you got to make it taste bad.
But I mean, I really want to lick one now.
So do I. The internet licked Nintendo Switch
Yes,
cartridges.
yes,
Yeah,
it was a big thing.
It was a big thing. It was it was an ice bucket challenge big.
It's because not everyone's fortunate enough to own a Switch.
That's true. A bucket of ice does not cost $350.
Super excited about the Zelda sequel. Have they ever
Yeah.
done that?
Um,
I don't think
Twilight
Well-
Princess was a spiritual successor to Ocarina of
Spiritual
Time.
successor is
It had
not
lot
a
of the same
sequel.
stuff.
so
It
was
was just the
Majora's
same game.
Mask.
It was pretty much.
I mean, Hero Link
Majora's
was
Mask. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
technically a sequel to.
Dude.
Well, was it? Was it?
Yeah, it was. So the Hero Link
But
from
the moon wasn't in Ocarina of Time. Where
It
the fuck
wasn't.
the moon come from?
Space.
Where's
well,
the moon,
I mean,
Andy?
Space.
he
It's in
falls. He
space.
falls in. He falls into a different world. Is what happens while in his adventures. He falls into Termina.
Oh,
That's what
right.
happens at the beginning of Ocarina of Time.
You got to remember that I played that game all of one go around, and the moon crashed. And I was like, "Well, that's goddamn retarded," and I never played it again. Meanwhile, you
there you
beat the crap out.
I
of it.
did. So I also I watched maybe one of the more depressing videos that I've ever watched in my life, and it was because it's about Ocarina of Time. So it was a discussion between a couple guys of why Ocarina of Time is the saddest, most depressing Zelda game, despite its content. So
It's the timey-wimey stuff, isn't it?
a little bit, but more along the lines of think about it this way. Link goes forward and becomes the hero of time. But in doing so, the Great Deku Tree is dead. He can no longer stay in the Kokiri Forest because Navi, at the end of the game, leaves him. So he's exiled from his home, otherwise he becomes a Stalfos, right? Which actually he does. That happens in Twilight Princess. You fight that Stalfos that teaches you the new moves. That is Hero Link.
Is that canon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, he introduces himself as the hero of time. Yeah. So we know that Link going back to the past eventually becomes a Stalfos because in all of his best friends are gone, right? Darunia, Saria, like all the people representing the elements, right? They were the supporting cast for Link. Everybody else doesn't know who he is because when he saved the world, most of them were dead or had fled, right?
Gotcha.
So nobody knows who this guy is. So he's the unnamed hero of the entire world, and he gets nothing out of it. In fact, everybody he knows and loves goes away, and then he gets.
It would be interesting to look at that through a lot of lenses, in the sense that take a game and think about what's the after report. I just had one that came to mind and immediately forgot it. But there's a lot of games that seem to end on a high note. But if you were to continue the story, where the hell Diablo? Right.
Yeah.
The warrior puts the thing in his head. You save the day, and then Diablo 2 comes around. Right.
Right.
So
and that opening,
yeah. I really need to tinkle.
Okay. Yeah, it was weird, especially considering that later Zeldas have darker subject matter. That it was like, it definitely has the most depressing ending at the very least. I mean, without explaining it to you.
So I think a lot of things come down to the fact that the Zelda timeline is actually
it's all fucked up.
Really fucked up.
Yeah, it's all super fucked up.
And there's not a good canonical breakdown of that series.
Well, they did break it down in the Hyrule Historia, but then they immediately broke it with their next game.
Yeah, it's just even skim reading, trying to follow it and stuff. It seems like it's been a contentious issue.
Yeah,
for a while now.
Sure.
And it's definitely not the first sequel, because technically the first two games were a sequel, and then
I suppose that's true.
Majora's Mask and Ocarina are technically sequels to each other, but it's like all of them are in that weird wonky timeline. So
yeah, it's because basically it as soon as Ocarina of Time especially really fucked with the timeline, because
Wind Waker was the bad one.
Was it really?
Oh yeah, that's why I was skimming reading. Wind Waker really messed up people's like breakdowns of those timelines. But at the end of the day, really, I'm just really happy that Breath of the Wild was fantastic, and giving me another game that's essentially set in the same like game engine with more Zelda is just fantastic, and this makes me happy.
I've been kind of cold on Zelda games for a while. I feel like they just don't live up to my expectations.
Dude,
I know I haven't played Breath of the Wild. I haven't played Breath of the Wild.
If anything is going to change your mind right now, it would be Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I didn't even get to finish it. Super sad.
That is sad.
What happened? Did someone eat your cartridge?
I was... that wouldn't be possible. Unless they're superhumans. No, I was borrowing the Switch from friends, and then they rudely wanted it back before they moved across the country.
Bastards.
That's what mail's for, right?
Yeah. None of us own a Switch.
My brother does.
So does mine.
Does that count? Our brothers both own Switches. They're each a half Switch.
Have you gotten to play through Breath of the Wild?
No, I haven't played it, but I've watched the entire game through GIFs on Reddit.
Okay, yeah.
Because they're always there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just people solving challenges with extreme lateral thinking.
Yeah.
So
the challenges were a lot of fun.
Adam and I were talking about that. A system of systems, the way they design Breath of the Wild, that it isn't necessarily coded A to B, B to C. It's here's a system. It does this, if then, if then, if then. So you get all these modular procedural reactions that generate content. It's, essentially procedural.
That's
interesting. You get that a lot in a kind of user interface sense in Astroneer, which I've been playing a lot. Like each item just attaches to a point, and all the points look the same. It's just like a red circle. So you can come up with really interesting ways of storing resources or moving stuff around that you wouldn't think was otherwise possible. For example, you have to worry about power and air, and normally you have like a little oxygen canister and a power cell, but you could just put an oxygen generator and a battery on a table and carry the table around, and it technically works. It's very inconvenient, but it's just something that you wouldn't think to ever do, but the game allows it to work because it's just how the mechanics work. So it's pretty fun.
Have you tried playing any Void Bastards?
No, I watched it. That's the space
roguelike.
roguelike. Yeah.
Voidcrabs.
It looked neat.
It was pretty fun. It's on the Xbox Game Pass. I was trying it out. The one that's got me just hooked is the Hollow Knight.
Yeah, I'm glad you started playing that. I really want to pick it up.
I already knew that it was like a well-renowned and much beloved game, which it comes along every once in a while that like a platformer stuff will really get everyone's jimmies in a rustle. But having it on the Game Pass was like, all right, I'll give this a go.
Have you ever been sucked into a Metroidvania before?
Rarely.
Yeah.
I honestly think whenever I've tried to play like a Castlevania-esque game, I think about playing Castlevania on the Super Nintendo and how absolutely frustrating it was for like 8-year-old me to try to play that game. So,
have you heard of Axiom Verge? So imagine a Metroidvania game, but I think you play like a researcher, scientist. But one of your first tools/weapons you get is a gun that breaks the fourth wall. It literally glitches out parts of the game. So if there's a wall in the way, you shoot it and you get a graphical visual glitch and you can move through the wall. And that's like the start of the surrealism. And it looks a lot like, you remember the old Contra bosses and old, what were the old shmup games with the really weird xenomorph looking creatures and entities? It's this very bizarre game.
I mean, Metroid.
Yeah, Metroid.
A little bit.
Yeah. But another one that I really want to play. I just haven't sunk the $10 or so in to pick it up because I've been busy with other stuff. But
I'm struggling to imagine what else you'd be doing besides just like phasing through walls with the glitch ability.
Having not played it, I don't remember. But I remember that being like in the opening trailer.
Let's bring up the trailer for it. Let's take a look.
There you go.
I'm curious.
Genie, pull that up.
Tango, get that shit.
Monkey's Paw. You guys know about Monkey's Paw?
Yeah.
It's an old idea. It's also
About the
Cursed Wishes?
The
Cursed Wishes.
Wish. Yeah.
What was the Axiom Verge?
Axiom Verge.
They should bring back. Speaking of fourth wall breaking games, is that horror game that had the insanity
On the GameCube.
On the
Yeah,
GameCube,
they
Yeah.
need to do that again, or some version.
They
of
do
that.
some of that in Metal Gear Solid, at least
Is
the
this
older
what?
ones.
Is this what you're after?
This is Axiom Verge, yeah. Is this the trailer? No, Andy just opened an hour-long video.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Speed
Andy.
run though.
Tango
It
did
shows
it.
gameplay.
Tango did.
What are
it.
you
Okay.
looking for?
I'm looking for the trailer.
Gameplay's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Looks like Mario, kind of.
Yeah.
It's a Metrovania game.
Oh shit! Look at all this
You got
alien
the
writing.
thing.
Oh, that was an
Oh, I
item.
thought he was dying.
I thought that was a creature of some variety.
Oh, I thought that was lava.
Okay, so now he's got a gun. Wow, Andy, this really does a good job showing off all the cool features of the game.
You didn't ask for the trailer. You asked for gameplay of Axiom Verge.
Okay,
Look
you got,
Did I?
You got a blue ball.
Oh shit!
It's weird to me how much I enjoy video game trailers, but I hate movie trailers.
Awaken.
Really?
I just hate
Yeah.
movie trailers when they spoil stuff for me.
Movie trailers in general.
Okay.
No writing that
It's
time,
like the same.
So we just
Same
we're
level.
watching literally the same thing we just got done watching.
but without the weird alien writing.
Okay.
Oh,
So
it looks
this
like a
is pretty
side-scroller
standard
shooter thing.
Metroidvania.
Yeah.
This isn't what I remember. Adapt. Okay. Okay.
Oh
shooting
yeah,
through
he
the
sure looks like
bubble
he's
wall.
adapting. The
Okay.
The adapt looks like the first
It's just
thing.
use
too.
your weapons
Yeah.
in ways that you use your weapons for.
I mean, does it have good music?
It might.
Oh yeah.
Nice chip tune.
Discover. Oh yeah, look at him jump. Look at all that discovering. Fuck. You just jump and you discover
Showed us
shit.
The opening scene again.
Oh, interesting.
Oh fuck, look at that slug thing. I bet that thing's making slurm.
Maybe I had it wrong then.
By
There's
the
a small
bucketful.
possibility I'm thinking of another game.
Oh god.
I don't
Look
know.
at all that discovering.
I don't see a fourth wall gun, and
Yeah.
I'm quite sad.
I know. This is not
But
what I
look at all that
expected.
discovery.
So I guess we gotta Google some sort of fourth wall breaking video game.
No, hold on. We got to see what the other steps are. I feel like we're on the road
It's
to
surprising
recovery.
how much side scrollers are making a comeback. There's this Katana Zero,
I don't
Celeste.
like them.
Really?
Only in the context of like, if I can play it in a cabinet, then I
There's
like
something to be
it.
said about playing in the cabinet.
You remember when Beyond had Black Tiger?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the Bond played that shit all the time, and he would have the high score, and I would go in and I'd pump like $5 in quarters in there every week, and I would just like keep one upping him on the high score, and then finally I just set a high score that he couldn't touch, and that fool walked around with a sourpuss on his face for like 2 months over that.
Cruel.
He's probably still upset about it.
Well, I'm still really happy about it. So, yin and yang. But yeah, that was like my mission. Ron and I would just laugh about that shit for hours as I was breaking that high score. I had that game memorized.
Man, the Batman games are fun.
Dude, fucking that first one they came out with.
Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, that was really cool. I liked the combat
Ops
Is
system
Spec
a
Ops
lot.
the line break the fourth wall?
I don't think it broke the fourth wall.
We never finished it. It might have towards the end.
I feel like they're just talking about stuff that has like kind of mindfuck stuff going on.
Like,
and that's not
hey,
actually-
we're self-aware.
Well, the Stanley Parable, Metal Gear Solid, those definitely broke the fourth
Oh,
wall.
yeah, for sure.
They
It's possible they might have.
specifically
Ooh, Pony
directly
Island.
talk to the player.
Insert
And there
your
was-
soul to continue. That's a steep price for continuation.
Eternal Darkness was that GameCube game you're talking about.
Yeah, I saw that as we scrolled by. That was a cool game.
Oh, something that I found that I'm absolutely in love with, and I don't know if you guys would be, the Backrooms. Have you heard about this?
The back room.
Backrooms.
Let's be specific about which back rooms we're talking about.
Yeah.
The Backrooms.
It's a little
As the
bit
resident
of Void
creep, I have
Crabs.
many
This might
interpretations
have
of
grown out of the SCP stuff Adam was telling you about, but I think it might have just originated from a single post. Is the idea that like somehow you go through a door in an office building and you enter into a room. The wallpaper is this faded nicotine tar yellow. There's a hum from the sodium lights above. The carpet's a little too long and dirty. And these rooms go on forever. Right? You're in this weird demi-plane of old mid-'80s office
Are we still
rooms
talking
that
about a
may or
game?
may not have... No, this is just like an idea.
Okay.
And they may or may not have things in them. So a subreddit popped up of people having, reports of their trips to the back rooms. And it's all just, imagination content. But there's this neat idea that is just old,
That's
infinite office space with nothing but creaky chairs,
I like that
broken
a lot.
projectors, and then you hear
Weird sounds.
footsteps around the corner,
Ooh, I like that a lot.
It was a pretty cool idea. So
That's a subreddit?
yeah, I think it originated from
I'm
like
going
a
to
random
subscribe to
post.
that one.
But
That's cool.
I think it's
like
called
that
the
a
Back
lot.
Rooms, yeah.
I've been playing just so much Apex lately with Season 2 dropping. And I'll tell you what, today was a particularly bad day. I think on average, we would try to join a match and it would fail. Like it would start to load the match and we'd get code leafed out or just randomly disconnected. On average, about 3 times per match we actually played.
Ooh.
Wow. It was just insane. Like, I don't know.
What is code leafing? For those people out there who don't know.
No, so for Apex,
Fucking
it's
morons.
specifically what they call their error code that pops up when it kicks you out. There's this code semicolon leaf.
Okay.
Well, it's a pretty well proven point that the net code for Apex is not at the top of the food chain.
Sure,
Yeah.
for sure, but it's surprising that
It's a free game, right?
it
Yeah.
is a free game.
Can't complain.
I
Free
can
meal.
always
You can
complain.
absolutely
I am an
complain.
American.
Especially since you do spend money on this free game.
Yeah, there's also that. I mean,
And that's your choice to do that.
I think that it's fair to say that there's a expectation of services being provided when you're playing their game, especially if they've you have resolved that issue previously and now you're re-experiencing that issue again.
In the case where there is not an issue and then an issue exists, yes.
Yes
I
to
don't
what?
follow. Yeah.
Right, like if something that is free is released and it's free from issue, and then later on there's an issue, right? Like what you're experiencing right
Yeah.
now, Apex has not always had this issue.
Right.
So the fact that they are now experiencing this issue shows that they were touching something that they shouldn't have touched.
Well, yeah, I
they
mean, there's new
update the
content.
game.
Yeah, there's
anytime
sure.
you update a game and add content, there's going
Well,
to be
if you're
things that
adding
are
new
broken.
content, then yeah, fucking work that shit out before you release it.
I think that's really what it just comes down to is the fact that games these days don't seem to get the spit and polish before going live that we used
That
to
is a
see
huge
from a
problem.
lot of games.
Yes.
Now, obviously,
a
many
lot
games
of
have been
factors there.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And I mean, really, at the end of the day, it's shareholders, in my opinion, but
Yeah.
people that don't produce anything but demand more profit all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But we could rant about that a lot of the time.
I was talking to my brother about it, and it brought me back to this just kernel of truth. There's always indie games. Like
And yeah,
it's so easy to think of games
And
as
there's
just
also
being these
old
AAA.
games that exist that are awesome still,
Yeah,
right?
they
Oh
don't-
yeah, there's always going to be a back catalog.
yeah.
But
Those things don't go anywhere.
especially in the multiplayer space, you're going to want to keep current, right? Because
Yeah,
that's
you
where all of your
can't-
friends are playing.
Multiplayer is the big deal, yeah.
Did you guys hear about the City of Heroes stuff?
I have not heard anything about
Okay,
City Heroes.
in a nutshell, a guy found the source code for City Heroes years ago, and he's been running a secret server for years that he had to like rework. And I don't remember the specifics, but somehow it got out. It got to the point where he'd invite like his friends and then a friend of friends, and if anybody were to talk about it in public space, he found out, he would ban their account and anybody they had invited and anybody that they had invited to keep this like under wraps. And then just recently it came out. I think he had to pass it off to somebody else, but now there's a handful of servers up for City of Heroes, like rebuilt from the original source code, from what I remember.
Interesting.
It was very spaghettified code, but it's so interesting to hear about an old MMO like that coming back. You
In
know,
the same vein, can you still play America's Army?
I have no idea.
Do those servers exist out there?
I don't. I mean, maybe. I don't
doubt
think
it.
so.
Fuck, I would play America's Army. Yeah. Like with eight people that we know who would play it. You know?
I mean, at this point, it would play on a toaster, right?
Totally.
an American toaster.
Well, I mean, yeah.
But Andy's right. When it comes to multiplayer games, and except for those rare gems that keep a community or have publicly or privately held servers and whatnot, you kind of have to keep up with the times if you want to get the true feel for a game when it has a large population. Like what did we go back and play recently that was multiplayer that was dead?
World of Warcraft?
It might have been. Oh yeah, because we were playing the private server.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, this is World of Warcraft, but like the outline, of a painting. It's like the auction house had like 100 items on it, and
Yeah, true. I don't know, man. There's still the thing is it's a new server, so we see quite a few people while we're out and about. It's a brand new server.
I was surprised with the activity that I saw when I was on it.
Right. I mean, there are plenty of people out there playing, but as far as like the high level, the max level community, it's pretty small.
Which almost
it's
makes
new
it
in the
special.
sense that they did like an overhaul and they renamed it and whatnot.
No,
But
that's a brand new server.
you told me the other day that they had like changed names and owners, and they had
Yes.
to get rid of all. So it's not brand new.
That is a brand new server. Though they have two brand new servers. We joined one brand new server.
Okay. Either way, it's not the same as playing with a high population.
No, yeah, we
It's
could have
just-
chosen a
it
high
feels
population,
different.
but we would have run into the issue because they have an ultra high population, almost always full server. Now I don't know what their server capacity is, but it's nearly almost always full, and people are talking about wait times.
Yeah.
If
Part
I
of the
felt if I
classic
was,
WoW experience, waiting to log in.
yeah, but
right?
I mean, also we are playing in 2019, so I was trying not to like if on any given Sunday we were going to play WoW, I didn't want us waiting in line, especially if we were running into like
Going to the shop tomorrow.
issues.
I would like to.
It's going to be 2020 next
are
year.
The last
Yeah.
couple of Mondays I've been feeling
It's weird.
weird, so I usually come home like I get a headache and stuff, and no energy to go down.
So I thought
Well,
you
hit
were
me
kind
up
of I thought you were
One way or
done.
another.
I thought you were like not into L5R anymore.
He's playing X-wing.
I'm not.
Ah,
I am sort of playing. I don't know. The more I play X-Wing, the less I'm into it.
Is it because you don't have people to play with?
He
No,
does.
I got people to play with.
but
He's just a sourpuss
Hmm.
with a hummingbird attention span.
I do have a hummingbird attention span.
A sour bird.
Yeah.
I just
Mortal enemy of the void
I
crab.
don't like that much bulk to my games. Like I don't like carrying that much shit.
For
Just not a-
X-Wing?
Not a war gamer.
Yeah. I'm not a war gamer, I guess, yeah.
You grew up on card games.
I mean, you don't have to bring every fig with you to play X-Wing.
But I still have to have like a bunch of them then that I'm not using.
For the current game night,
Yeah.
you have a bunch of L5R cards you don't use every night.
Yeah, but they're easier to store.
They're comparably the same.
Also, that shit's starting to annoy me too. I like just the extra shelf space.
so what's you're not having fun with the game, or it's just too much stuff.
He doesn't want to carry the stuff around.
It's true.
His first aid kit size satchel.
If that, I mean, it's
Second
like
aid kit.
typically 6 ships is what you're going to be bringing in at like max.
Then you got the gubbins and the cardboard.
Plus, are they fragile?
Box
Can you,
this,
it's not
like a
something you
card
can just throw in a
box.
backpack.
Plus, also, here's the thing that I really dislike about
He's allergic to backpacks.
Fantasy Flight games. Here's the thing that I really, really dislike about Fantasy Flight games, and that is like, they continue need to follow up on like changing rules. Like all their games have changing rules all the fucking time, like from month to month, and that shit starts to bother me over time. The fucking
That's how games stay
No,
fresh.
that's not how all games fucking work.
I didn't say that's how all games work. I said that's how games stay fresh.
Nah.
We were talking about
I
this,
think also from the
Andrew.
new set, disguised as a slippery slope.
Remember when we were talking about this outside of
just saying.
Astral, and I brought up how much that applied, little or more, to L5R, Legend of the Five Rings. That we were talking about, there wasn't all these changes, but then I thought about it, and it's like they did go through additions. You had Jade and Gold and whatever.
Yes, every cycle introduced new rules mechanics, and it was like every
Was it once a
3 to 4 months.
They did not introduce new rules.
I know Magic goes
100%.
through a 3-month
100%. When they add new keywords and stuff into the game and how stuff interacts, the rules change.
You can design a game where like things key off of like those traits, right?
Yeah, but we specifically said that old L5R had a changing rule set, is what we're saying right now. That was the statement we just made that you denied.
They didn't have a changing rule set.
They 100% had a changing rule set. When you introduce new mechanics into a game, the rules are changing.
Yeah, but that didn't happen that often.
It happened.
Not when I was playing.
100%.
Throughout Gold and shit? That shit
Yes.
didn't happen. No, cards like got banned and shit, but the basic structure of the game remained the same.
No, they added new mechanics. It's like, think about the first one that pops in my mind is the tactical maneuver stuff where you could have one Shugenja, one monk, one.
That was after I was done playing.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, like the formation stuff. That was the tail end of when I was playing, and I thought that shit was bullshit.
We played
straight
in
up
our mid-20s, didn't we?
I did not play that much in my mid-20s.
Most
of when I
you
played
say it
was
happened when I quit playing, and then it happened at the tail end of you quit playing. And I was just using as an example to show you that is one of the examples of the rules changing when we were playing L5R.
and that's when it started to sour in my mouth. Is when they started introducing those
we
types of
didn't
things.
quit playing L5R because it soured our mouths. We quit because our game shop closed, and it was a pain in the ass to go to Phoenix to play.
Yeah.
And you moved.
Exactly. I stopped playing at that point.
It's because we played because of the crew that we played with, which is the same reason I like this L5R. It's an excuse on Mondays to go down and BS with people that aren't entertaining to hang out with.
I only like 3 of those people.
I'm not going to be one of them soon.
What kind of rule changes are the ones that bother you? Adding a new mechanic, tweaking meta rules? Like we're just saying
So I
X-Wing,
think this
like,
current iteration of L5R is just an incomplete game.
Okay, L5R. I have not played the new one since that opening night, so I've forgotten most of it.
It's a competitive card game. It has a competitive tournament scene, which means you're going to see a constant fluctuation of cards coming out and the game developers trying to make on the fly balance changes based on what the playtest community, which is the actual gaming community, as the cards come out and are legal to play, because they don't have a couple thousand people playtesting before the game goes live, and they have to make adjustments to that. Otherwise, you'll have imbalance in the card game.
Well, then get a couple fucking thousand people to playtest a game.
But nobody does that.
Then do that shit, and then I'll play your game.
That's fine. I existed in a world where, unfortunately, they don't have thousands of man hours into playtesting, and I still enjoy the world that I get to play those games in.
I've always wondered why card games like Magic, L5R,
Let's get together and play
whatnot
poker instead. That's a great game.
didn't release very basic, primitive proxies of their new cards. Like, here's a no art, bare bones proxy of some new rules we're thinking of for a card, print and play, or you could buy it for super cheap in a booster pack or something, and then let their players play test it. And then the stuff that doesn't need to be changed or gets changed then gets art and the full work, and maybe some updates if they find out the numbers were off, that kind of stuff. I never understood this disdain for proxies in most card games.
Because they're not buying product.
I already gave them so much of my goddamn money. I think they can wait for a minute so I can get some of those cards that I'm not going to chase with my wallet, especially with a random booster pack.
There's a lot to be said about the gambling addiction of booster packs. But besides that point, that's what it'll always come down to is buying product. You look at this trend we have where I feel like video games are trying to do this, where they're like, well, we're going to release this beta version of the game out so that we can see how it's running, see how it plays, stress testing, and find bugs, all that stuff. But then they're like, can we make money off of this game? And obviously they have. You got games like PUBG and Apex and stuff that are...
Yeah, you have Fortnite that's still in early access.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Getting stuck in this early access portion.
Yeah.
What was the first one I think I remember hearing about was the dinosaur game.
Ark.
Yeah. It's like,
perpetually early access.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it's published. It's out. It's been out for a while. Yeah.
But when you start making money off of the crappy product you release without having to flush out all the bugs, why bother? Seems like most of them just kind of give up after that point. Or not necessarily give up. Substantially reduced enthusiasm for continuing to improve the game.
Yeah. Besides the money factor, it'd be hard to pinpoint why they do release it like that. Other than, there's got to be at least some other small, negligible reason to release early access.
Well, so I don't know enough about the Magic the Gathering community, but I feel like they probably run into those issues less often.
They probably have a good team of
They
playtesters.
Probably have a huge team of
They've been
playtesters.
doing this for 30, 40 years.
I think they've got the money to throw at the game.
40 years?
It's a long time.
It's been a long time, yeah.
No, not 40 years. Is it? Oh, I don't know. It's
I'm pretty sure it was mid 80s, right? So I'm pretty sure the game is over 30 years old.
I think it's over 30.
Yeah.
It's funny that you brought up poker though, because I feel like poker is a good example of a game where the rule set's not going to change.
Exactly.
So
I love that shit.
Sure.
Poker is a full game.
So it comes down to whether or not you enjoy the environment of a collectible competitive card game or legacy game like we play, or you don't.
For a game that is a continued investment, it's just got to be really good. And I don't think the new iteration of LFR is very good.
What kind of a continued investment game would you like assuming the rules didn't change?
I like card games. I like collectible card games. I like limited card games. I like that idea.
You just don't like if they change the rules too much? Or if they change them too often?
Right, so like in Magic, you get a new
base
keyword
set
that has a rule mechanic attached to it in every fucking
rule.
set. A new rule.
Okay.
The mechanics of a game should be established when you release that game.
What if they're not good? What if they need fixing?
Scrap the fucking game, or like
so
that
only
game
ever
fails.
release perfect games.
Do your best to release great games. Yeah.
I think everybody is trying. I don't think a single publisher out there says, well, now that the game's 40% good, let's release it.
Well,
okay.
Not in video games.
So with that said, if not every game is going to be perfect, don't I have the option as a consumer just to be like, I tried this game out for a while. It's not good enough for me to continue.
Nobody's arguing
totally.
against that. Yeah, that's...
So...
I'm more about managing expectations. Like I go into these games knowing that they're going to make mistakes. Do they have with L5R specifically? What made me happy is when everyone was initially telling us that Fantasy Flight never erratas cards, and we only had the restricted list. They would just, and you had to deal with a card, and then they'll put it on this list so you can't play with it. It's not a problem anymore. Then they errated cards, and to me that's good. If you still have a problem, you shouldn't be afraid to use the tools at your disposal to fix and your game, just because you think it's potentially bad for consumers or something like that. It's just like your game's broke, it needs fix it.
But I also think a lot of that shit, errata and restricted list, comes from knee-jerk reaction from very limited test pools.
I won't disagree with that. I don't think that's
especially
prevalent
in the age of with the internet as ubiquitous as it is, those complaints get heard and felt a lot easier. And I think game design, maybe not game designers in general, but FFG definitely takes that to heart a little too quickly.
Doesn't that in itself just become its own game mechanic?
What do you mean?
So now you're playing a game that is subject to the whims of what the loudest portion of the population is saying. You got to take that into consideration.
That's what I'm saying. Is like, you just got to let a game stand by itself.
Something to consider, if I remember right, a design space is a term in a game that is everything the rules contain. So here's all the potential options for anything, right? When you have a game like chess, the options are like near limitless, but the design space is very small. You have these pieces, here's what they can do, right? When you're making something like anything that's collectible, where they're going to add more stuff, as that design space increases, you are going to have issues. You cannot account for all those things. So you have two options. One, you either don't add anything new and call it good where it is, or you add stuff new and then somehow fix it when it inevitably breaks.
See, and that's the
You
thing.
can't really have both.
I've played collectible card games enough to know that there's this element of power creep, and I got no beef with resetting an environment, with keeping it to a restricted card pool, straight up getting rid of cards if you just need to get rid of cards. I got no problem with that. All I want to know is that, like, when I go to build a deck, that all my cards work the way they say they should fucking work.
Yeah, that's fair. Especially when it comes to cardboard.
Yeah.
When you've got your card in your hand, you don't want to have to say, well, the rules are actually this in your head.
And I know, like, the card pool gets bigger. Like I said, you gotta fucking cull that shit every once in a while. I get that shit. That's fine with me. I got no problem with that. As long as you're producing a good game with great core mechanics. And then the rest of it is just dressing, you know?
Yeah. I think that's just a problem with the meat space of the game. You know, we live in such an age where games have had time to mature and developers know all these tricks and techniques now, and they want to add new stuff. And when you have a physical card, like you said, you can't update it.
Right.
So applying these newer ideas of, you know, coming out with new content and continuing to use the same base mechanics, like you inherently do have to errata or blacklist cards, because there's really no other way to do it. You can't change the text on the card.
I would just say this. The game's not bad. The game functions fairly well. It has some missteps that I think that are going to be prevalent in a lot of games, and L5R has always been more complex. What alternatively card game would you play in lieu of playing L5R on Mondays?
Poker, like nothing. Like, that's it.
Are you bored with L5R? Is it?
He's just bored.
I mean, real like identifying the problem. Is it a balance thing or is it boredom?
It is. So they re-released Legend of the Five Rings as a limited card game, and I thought that was going to be really cool because I would have unlimited access to every fucking card in my pool.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That said, there's an element of divided actions in this game, which I think was a misstep.
Mm-hmm.
That is to say, you know, in most card games you have some sort of resource mechanic, and then you have the things that are the board state, and then things that affect the board state. Well, those things that affect the board state, which are called like actions or events in L5R, are segregated by clan type instead of being able to have access to sort of every action by every clan, right? So anytime you go to build cards, you're automatically limited to a certain amount of your card pool by default, just because only whatever clan you're building with can use
Just
those
like
cards.
Magic with red, green, blue, black, and white.
Because then you have to answer the question: if you're not going to have clans, if you're not going to have colors, if you're not going
I'm
to
not
have these
saying that.
segmented things, just hear me for a second. If you don't have those, and you just have, here's your limited card game, here's the whole box set, use the cards as you will to build a deck, isn't not in everyone's competitive interest and in most people's intuitive guess just to find the best combo?
No, because in L5R, like the real flavor came from the I always felt like the real flavor came from the personalities, like the characters themselves being attached to a particular clan, whereas the ways you could affect the board state were more general.
So what he's saying specifically is because the actions that you play in L5R can be clan restricted or color restricted for the Magic player, whereas in old L5R they weren't.
They were universal.
Yeah, all the actions you played in your hand, they were just actions. You could build your deck out of any.
It was just
forgot
this
that the
affects the
actions
board
were
state.
now.
So the reason I actually would agree with him why it's unfortunate they did that is simply because how much it limits what tools you have access to.
And then that is compounded by, in this version, what they did with the rolls. I after thinking about it, I don't like the roll restriction thing.
Sure, but I
think
mean
that's really bad.
You look at the game as it's a limited card game. They've given when stuff cycles out, which is a long time away, and it's not everything that cycles out. So the problem with having that limited card pool of actions, because it's clan restricted, is going to be less so when there are just more cards to choose from for every clan, right? Theoretically.
In theory, yeah.
But
It's rare that games, at least in my recent memory, will restrict universal actions like that, because you're always going to have these
Magic does it.
basic.
Magic specifically does it.
Yeah,
Through color cost,
They
like
are a
restrictions.
bit of a peculiar situation.
It's pretty much the exact same thing.
Think to like, have you played many random like C+ card games online?
I don't know what a C+ card game is.
Like just an average game, like not a really good one. There's a lot of, let's say you have a design space, you have an action, draw 2 cards when you play this card, right? That's I'm guessing like a blue in Magic, right?
Sure.
But you're going to have similar actions in Magic for other colors. But in most games, such a basic action like that is universal. It's odd to think of something like that being tied to a very restricted thing like a clan, because I think the colors, there's so, like you said about L5R, once there's more cards, Magic has so many options that you're really not that restricted in what kind of deck you're building, because especially
there's
from what
more
I know of
cards.
now, most people don't run mono decks anymore.
Sure.
So you get a lot more options.
There's also neutral cards in L5R. No, there's
Oh,
a
they're not
pool-
all restricted?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, they're not. But
The largest pool of cards are the neutral cards.
Something I was talking about my...
individually, but not collectively.
What do you mean?
Right, like there's a lot more actions throughout all of the clans than there are just neutral cards.
Yeah, but if you compare one faction's actions to the neutral pool of actions, the neutral pool of action has more than that one clan's specific actions.
I
Right?
think that might be true for most of the clans, but not all of the clans. I think there might be 1 or 2 that have more. I'm not sure on that.
I don't know either.
But
So
it
it's not
it would be close on 1 or 2 of them because they've had more expansions that have come out and shit.
the main thing at the end of the day for me is like I don't have a better card. I like playing card games. I like being competitive with my card games. The game's not terrible. It gives me something to go down, and it's not expensive to play. So I'll keep playing it. If something better comes along, well, I'd jump on that.
I was talking to my brother today, which is kind of in a way opposite of the way you enjoy games, Andy. I was remembering that when we would play Legos, I would build a like chassis for a vehicle, and I'd think about like the shape and design and build it. And then once like the framework was built, I'd get bored of it and give it to Adam, and he would make the vehicle itself. He'd put all the stuff on it, because I was playing Astroneer the other day, and I spent like 3 hours just reorganizing my base, making it more efficient. And then like when it came time to go get all the new resources with my new efficient base, I got bored immediately. And talking about how much you enjoy something like poker, where small design space, rules don't change. What changes is the environment and the people you play with. It's apples and oranges, right? One's not better
Right.
than the other.
No, you're absolutely right.
But all this is leading up to the fact that I have found that I'm just constantly driven to play new games. I cannot, the older I get, the more and more I'll play a video game for 2 to 5 hours and want to play something else. I
See-
enjoy experiencing new stuff.
And I guess
you've always been like that, though.
and
Yeah,
that's
there's very few games. Like if you took the number of games I've played versus the numbers I've beaten,
Yeah.
that's less than 1%.
Yeah.
I've
So
played
you-
thousands of games.
you hit the nail on the head, and I think I can like articulate the type of gamer I am. Then, like, I am the type of gamer who likes a very well-defined, concentrated rule set where those rules do not change, and maybe they are very simple rules, but like that depth of strategy can go very deep and also alters from who you're playing.
Yeah.
You know, just from opponent to opponent.
Sure.
And I think that's why I do like games like poker, like chess, those sorts of things where it's a very small rule set, but a lot of possibilities happen.
Yeah, you just want to play chess.
Dude,
I do like chess.
why aren't you on that auto chess train?
He is.
Okay.
is.
We
Okay.
both are.
All right. Yeah.
But the that's not the same thing. There's way more
sure. It's
RNG
way
involved in
different.
an
Yeah,
auto
yeah,
chess
yeah.
game.
Way. It's like gambling, which is fun.
Gambling is fun.
Oh,
I mean,
It
Monday
is
Night
what it
Poker,
is.
right? That's
That helps me framework it because I played it. My immediate thought was, if I play this game, I'm going to have to rote memorize another roster of heroes. And 2, I'm pulling a lever. Like, I was buying units. I'm like, oh,
jackpot.
that guy's got a sword. What is his gangs? Okay, this is gangs. And I bought him, and I can't see his gangs anymore. It's like, well, I'm going to put him in this square. Pull lever. Pull lever. Pull
So
lever.
you've already
I'm out of
lost.
gold.
You're pulling the leather too much.
It's just,
Not managing that economy.
yeah.
You ran out of gold.
No, there's a great deal of just randomness in that game that can make or break it. But there's
Which is
also
fun.
there's enough strategy involved that I
Oh, yeah.
feel I get that sense of accomplishment when I do well.
We had that conversation about levels of randomness, and it's
Sure.
important to choose the right type of randomness and
Yeah.
meter it.
I mean, the games are at the end of the day, games are there to give us a sense of accomplishment.
Yeah.
Like to
Not if finish your thought.
that's just it. I mean, I play Apex and stuff. You know, when I have a match that I do well in, it makes me feel good, so I keep playing. I feel like I got better or had a good round, and
It's interesting. I had another talk with my brother about the reasons you play games. I play some games because they're rewarding. I play other games because they make me frustrated. Like, I realized I was playing Surviving Mars the last couple of days on my weekend, and I felt like I had 12 holes in my bolt and 10 fingers to plug the holes with. And the entire time I was playing it, because I missed some very basic concepts in the tutorial, I was constantly on the edge of emergency status for like 6 hours straight. And by the time I got done, I felt like I had ran a mile, and I was just pissed the whole time I was playing. But I got done, went to bed, woke up the next morning. I just wanted to play more. I'm like, that was the most frustrating thing I've done in like weeks, just trying to survive in this thing, but not in like a fun way. Just like, why am I always running out of this resource? Why is that on fire? And something about that game and those styles, I really enjoy problems that you can't really seem to solve. You know, it's a very particular type of game, because some games you just play to fun, some games you play to relax, but some games I play because I'm bad at them.
Is it
or
sadism
because
or
they're too
masochism
difficult.
where you enjoy self-inflicted pain?
It's masochism.
Yeah, you're a masochist.
I feel like you're still problem solving. I mean, I think that's kind of the core
Yeah.
concept. Is like it's just your problems don't stop. coming.
Yeah, that's
You know,
fair.
you solve this
I really
problem,
do
another
enjoy
problem,
solving
another two
problems.
problems pop up. But I mean, that reminds me of playing games like the Civ games, to where
yeah.
like your whole time you're pretty much
do love
juggling
those.
balls the entire time.
That one seems less problems and more optimization, especially once you know how to play the game, which is
Yeah,
kind
it's
of here or
optimization
there.
of a
That's fair.
system.
It's really just optimizing.
And I do like
systems.
that type of thing.
Yeah, like optimization is for me super relaxing, but problem solving isn't. Like, this is the main difference between, again, like Astroneer and Surviving Mars. Astroneer is just optimization because there's no hard limits, there's no immediate dangers. It's just you're going to either be efficient or you're not. It's the same reason I play idle games,
Oh, I love optimization.
which we could
man.
talk about idle games forever.
Nobody
but
wants to talk about it.
I know.
So let's talk Stardew Valley.
Oh, God.
We should.
That's my optimization
I think you should try
game.
Void Bastards, though. I think you might like it. You like roguelikes.
Yeah.
And this one, every time you go onto a ship, you have to deal with different things that are going on the ship, either low oxygen, these types of bad guys, these electronic systems and stuff like that. But on top of that, you also have to deal with how much fuel, food you have on your ship.
Managing resources.
Yeah, when you navigate your way through essentially a star map and to hit different
I didn't
ships.
see the star map. I saw a guy play through one ship worth of content.
Yeah, the real game is essentially, I think, managing your way through the web of Star Planet.
That's what I really liked about Black Wake. It was kind of that same management optimization.
The MMO pirate game.
Yeah. But with a
Yeah.
crew.
That game, it was a satisfying feeling to get in the groove.
Yeah.
Especially once I started captaining boats,
Right.
and you get in the groove of calling out, all right, left side, load cannons, pack, Andrew, James Sullivan, Michael Smith.
I'm fidgety. Sorry, I'm fidgety.
So this episode is brought to you by Pocket Butter. Butter that bitch.
Butter that
Yes,
bitch.
There you go.
I'm absolutely down for some pocket butter.
If you
any
are in
day.
need of a slathered female,
Or male.
Yeah.
Or other.
It's 2019.
I guess anybody can be a bitch now, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
You do you, bro.
Yeah. Somebody needs, buttered pocket butter. It's got all the cholesterol you need
Absolutely, dude.
for proper lubrication.
I mean, it's what we're going to be
Now with
putting on the
your
water
daily
slides
maximum
before we
of
get the water
cholesterol.
going.
Now with 0 death crystals.
Yes. Pocket butter.
Yeah.
Who's going to do it? Well, thank you for listening, everybody. This
Yep.
episode has been brought to you by Pocket Butter. Butter them bitches. Now with all the cholesterol you need for your daily maximum allowance.
It's more than 300%.
300% of the cholesterol needed by the entirety of the American population in one single serving. Get it done quick.
Get it done quick.
Educate your mind. Don't let the brain cells die. Come on, it's balcony time.